I'm Mara Quinn, and the night I tore one sandwich into 3 pieces for my kids is the night a stranger decided my story didn't end in a parking lot. I kept the water for myself, 2 sips, told June and Micah. I ran on their voices. Yeah, that happened. We were in Harbor City where the wind finds every seam in your sweater, and the park lamps throw that tired yellow halo. Woon held her half like a birthday cake, serious as a judge. Micah chewed his quarter with the focus only 4-year-olds and surgeons have. And I gave up my share because mothers do the math. Nobody sees. We walked our slow parade past the dark bakery, past the neon pawn sign. Buzzing like a fly slipped down the alley. Wire from under the bumper hatch. Lifted blankets counted. There's an art to making a van feel like a nest. I hummed my grandmother's lullaby. The kind you use when courage has to sound like a song. And for a minute the world softened. Morning came like negotiation. What can we hide so nobody calls the city? What can we keep so my kids still feel like themselves? When I cracked the hatch, I saw a paper bag set like a small miracle. By the bumper inside were 2 milks, 3 apples, a sealed sandwich, granola bars, all unopened. Which matters out here? I looked around, just empty lot air that always smells like rain right before it commits. I let myself feel 1 clean second of relief, and then tucked it away because relief doesn't pay rent before the accident. I wore a white jacket with my name stitched over my heart. Chef Ortega said my palate had an old soul. I heard flavors like music. We were 2 months from my pop-up when a driver blew a red light and crushed the hand I'd trained for a decade therapy. Got me motion, not midnight service, not 4 plates up at once with someone shouting fire. My husband said he needed space, which is a nice word for gone, so I learned a different line. County offices, day shelters, interviews where you pretend you slept. And I told my kids what I told myself. We act with grace the world might have a little saved up for us one night. An old line cook texted, no resume, no interview. Show up and cook. What's honest? Ghost kitchen, new and quiet, might be worth it. I brought the kids in pajamas under their jackets, spread a blanket by the walk-in crayons diner menus to draw on, unwrapped my battered tools. Paring knife with a nick wooden spoon, smooth as bone whisk, bent like an old finger, and didn't look up when people stared. I grabbed cream, garlic mushrooms, a little thyme. You don't have to impress. When truth is on the line, you just coax heat until it goes from shy to velvet. I pulled the pasta. When it sighed, wiped the rim like it was a face I loved. Slid the bowl forward. A man in a navy shirt with sleeves rolled and eyes that didn't skip said he was quality control. No name, he tasted, and something in his face moved. Not a smile, not a frown, more like a door he'd forgotten how to open. Then he left the fork and walked away. Silence is a language in kitchens, so I cleaned, saw. He'd left half the bowl, packed it to go with a napkin note. Hope you're not too busy to eat later. He came back often, always with that cover, always with gentle questions that meant he was listening more than talking. You know what I mean? The crew warmed up too, show one kid how to hold a knife and keep all 10 fingers. Suddenly you're useful. Folks dropped off juice boxes and a busted toy car that somehow still raced like a meteor one dawn. I reached for a way to answer his unasked story. He'd told me about a friend who lost his wife and daughter, and how the kitchen turned into a room full of ghosts. I found daikon, onion, celery, ginger cream, simmered low, didn't rush in my grandmother's house. Soup is what you make when words get lost. He came in, took 1 spoonful, froze, hand, shaking eyes, wet. Where did you learn this? He whispered. Chef Ortega. I said he called it thawing soup for hearts that stayed too long in winter. He nodded like a man who'd just remembered his name. The next part came hard. Family services showed up with calm eyes and badges that mean business. They were not villains. They asked about the van and school and health, and I told the truth. I was saving, I had work. I had a lead on a place. I showed the kids worksheets and the shelter nurses' notes. They thanked me, and still scheduled a hearing to decide if temporary foster care was needed. While I stabilized housing, your spine turns to glass when someone suggests separating you from your children for their safety. I stood in the alley with my palms on brick because I didn't trust my legs. That's where he found me. Quality control with the steady voice. And I said it flat. They're going to take them. He didn't flinch. Let me help, he said. I can't take your money. Answered, pride is a muscle that keeps flexing even when you're exhausted. I'm not offering money, he said. I'm offering something better 2 days later. We stood in a courtroom that smelled like coffee that had given up June's hand in mine. Micah's fingers on the coat pocket, where I keep the emergency gummy. The judge flipped through my life in manila folders, and when it was his turn, the man said his real name, and I finally learned it too. Rowan Hale, the kind of name that makes a room shift. He said he could provide stable housing, private school health care. But more important, he'd watched me build safety out of almost nothing, and teach kindness like a skill, he said. He would sponsor a lease in my name, co-sign if needed, enroll the kids now, and that we were engaged. The documentation was ready, yeah. That happened. I looked at him, and he didn't push. He just met me where I stood. We had talked in the alley before. He said he wanted to stand beside me so the system could see what he already saw, that if making private things public protected my family, he was ready only if I was. I said yes, then. Because it didn't feel like rescue, it felt like partnership, signed first in soup. The judge asked me if it was true. I said it was. The lawyer with sensible shoes slid neat stacks across the rail. The judge adjusted his glasses and said the words. I had been holding my breath for given these conditions and commitments. I see no cause to remove the children at this time. We stepped into daylight that didn't feel like a dare, and outside the courthouse I asked the only question that mattered. Why are you doing this? He said. The world doesn't need fewer mothers like you. And also he thought he was done being hungry, until he tasted my soup and realized he'd been starving. A few nights later, he took us to a quiet stretch of the river district where old storefronts were trying on new lives. We stopped at one with a dusty window. He wiped a circle clean with his sleeve, motioned me closer, and there it was in plain letters. Mara's Table, where recipes remember. He put a silver key in my palm and told me the truth. I hadn't known he was the man from the park, the one who left apples, the one who opened the ghost kitchen to see who would walk in with honesty in their hands. I felt a flicker of anger. So you tested me. And he said, no, I watched you. There's a difference. Then handed me a cloth bundle with new knives engraved with my initials and asked what comes next. Be something we decide together. June tugged my sleeve. Can we go in? And I turned the lock. If you've never opened a place with your name on the glass, it sounds like a deadbolt turning into a heartbeat, paper on stainless crinkling like applause a year. Wasn't glitter, it was inspectors who can smell a missing signature. 2 blocks away, suppliers who test you until they trust you, burns you. Wear like postcards from the land of the living. People didn't come for fireworks, they came for a plate that reminded them of a hand on their back at the right time. We kept the lights honest and the menu short. Mushroom thyme pasta for rainy nights, thawing soup for people who didn't know that was what they needed. Until the second spoonful, we hung June's dinosaur drawings by the bathroom, because joy belongs in serious rooms too, and Micah guided his red truck down the host stand, like it was a runway to something better one night after close with the dishwasher. humming its lullaby. Rowan set a two-top in the corner of the kitchen and served me my own soup, a bold move, I told him. He laughed, then knelt, private, not performative, said, I healed him one bowl at a time and asked if we could build a home without a back door. Everyone's afraid of. I said yes, like a person who finally found the key to the locked room in her chest. Later, the kids barreled in for their post-service bowls, spoons, tapping laughter, overlapping the city, doing what cities do. While inside, we made a small country out of warmth. And here's the part that keeps people arguing in the comments. Was Rowan right to stand up in that courtroom? Or did his money put a thumb on the scale? Did I owe him that yes? Or did he show up the way we wish more people would? Is dignity something you protect from help? Or something the right kind of help can hand back to you? I know what I believe because I live it, but I want to hear you drop your take below. Where's the line between rescue and respect, between rules meant to protect kids and systems that forget to see a mother's work? And tell me the dish that tastes like home and who served it when you needed it most. If this story hit anywhere true, tap subscribe so we can keep cooking these together. The hard parts, the funny parts, the parts that make a life. And if you've got your own harbor city, your alley, your courtroom, your key, tell us what you unlocked. I'll be in the replies, ladle in hand.